So let's go through the most common mistakes. And the profile that I just showed you makes almost all of them, and we'll circle back to it in a minute. And these are very easily addressed. So I guarantee you're probably making 2 or 3 of them today. The first mistake is waiting until you decide to look for a position and then update your LinkedIn profile. That is probably the biggest mistake, right? It goes to discoverability. For a headhunter, recruiter, CEO, whomever to find you, your LinkedIn profile is only going to work as hard as the data, the information on it, and how up to date it is. So I don't mean that you need to update your LinkedIn profile every week. That's kind of freaky, but certainly quarterly and maybe even monthly. Just set a reminder in your phone, update LinkedIn profile and spend 20 minutes. It's the best 20 minutes that you can spend on your job search. I'm telling you, because it's only as good as your most recent achievements and activities. Maybe you were promoted recently, and in many cases you've moved companies, and you say, well, I'm not going to update my LinkedIn profile. I'm not looking for a job. Well, these days, 20% of job moves don't work out. Either you're going to quickly realize you made a mistake, or the employer is going to realize this isn't a great fit. So you're always on the market. That's the new world that we live in. And there's other reasons to keep it up to date in terms of networking and other opportunities too, but that's a big one. So old information is a big mistake. Too much information is a huge mistake. If you have 6 seconds, taking up space, taking up time, filling the void, and trying to cram every character into this thing doesn't make sense. I live by the mantra when it comes to LinkedIn of when in doubt, leave it out. Most people live by the mantra, I'm not sure, so I'm going to cram it in. I'm going to shove it in. And maybe that bullet point, which is my 4th bullet point on my 5th job down, is going to make the difference. I am telling you, it is not going to make the difference. So then you might say, well, what harm is it? Why don't I just leave it in? It distracts the eye. It takes up space. Think about a billboard on a side of a highway. And you've seen this before. It has a gazillion words on it, and the stuff is crammed in so much you don't even know your eye, and you only have 6 seconds because you're driving at 50 miles an hour. You only have 6 seconds, and so you take away nothing. Whereas if we just got rid of all the crap and blew up the font and made it one simple image and a huge message, bingo, you would have got it. So there is a harm in too much information, and I'll give you some examples in a bit. Too little information. This is a huge issue as well. The profile that we just showed you, and we're going to go back to, actually does both. In some jobs he has too much info, and some jobs he has too little info. How can a headhunter or a recruiter or a CEO decide if they want to spend 15, 30 minutes? Let's say that the next step after seeing your profile, right? We know it's not hiring you because there's a series of steps along the way. So the next step is a 30-minute phone call. So for me to commit to a 30-minute phone call, how do I make that decision if there's so little information that I don't know if you were amazingly successful in this job or bombed terribly in this job? If there's no information, I have to guess. And I typically assume people are amazing because I'm an optimist in life. But the problem is you're then sitting next to another LinkedIn profile or 500 million other profiles that do have the information, and I know the person is a rock star, at least on paper. I would never hire them based on their LinkedIn, but it's easier for me to decide to spend 30 minutes with this person versus 30 minutes with that person. So too little info can really hurt you. As can designing and writing your LinkedIn profile for the past, not your future. So this is especially relevant to anyone that's evolved and grown over the course of their career. Frankly, that's most of us. I started in marketing power tools at Black & Decker way back when, and my career has evolved much as yours has. And you need to think about your target and where you want to go, and then build your LinkedIn profile to reflect your future aspirations. I don't mean your wild ass dreams, but where you want to head in your career. It should speak to that. It shouldn't just speak to the box you were in if that's not the box you want to play in anymore. I had a call yesterday with an individual who spends roughly half his time in the pet industry and half his time in the air filtration industry. And he's an expert at both. And it was clear after about 5 minutes that he was done with air filtration. He had no interest in it, despite how useful it is right now during the pandemic. He wants to double down on pets. And so we reworked his profile completely so that that's what spoke to people, because he doesn't want to spend time in air filtration anymore. So think about that goal first, not last, and then design the LinkedIn profile around it. And I'll spend a minute in a moment talking about that.